Many aspiring composers and people who are new to orchestral music production struggle with percussion. They don't know how to make their percussion section epic, how to make it sound rich. It always feels like there's something missing. It doesn't have groove. I see the same issues over and over again, especially in tracks made by beginners. Here's my 5-step method on how to come up with a solid percussion rhythm, how to use the different percussion instruments, and a few production tricks to make it sound good. This method works with any percussion library. You can use orchestral percussion, synth drums, hybrid stuff. The genre you're writing for doesn't matter. Of course, each genre of orchestral music has its own quirks. You wouldn't write the same percussion lines for epic trailer music as you would for a classical symphony, obviously. But this method teaches you super helpful, fundamental concepts that can serve you as a great starting point for your next percussion section. First, we need a basic groove. You can use your music theory knowledge to come up with one, but you don't have to. You can use all sorts of rhythm elements from your favorite songs, genres, anything you like, anything you picked up in rock music, pop, heavy metal, or reggaeton. It doesn't matter, as long as it's catchy. The easiest way, and my favorite, is to use the rhythm of speech. For example, I like ducks and I don't give a quack. Whatever method helps you come up with an interesting, short rhythm, you'll want to expand this into a groove that spans several bars and remains interesting. Here's what typically works best. Paste your groove 4 times. Part 1 introduces your basic groove for the first time. I like ducks and I don't give a quack. Part 2 repeats this basic groove, but adds a smaller variation at the end to make it a little bit more interesting. I like ducks and I don't give a quack cause I know. This adds a spark of interest that makes you eager to continue listening. What does he know? Part 3 then repeats the basic groove from part 1. I like ducks and I don't give a quack. And then part 4 adds a bigger variation. This variation will work as a ramp to the next cycle of this 4-part groove. It needs to add a bit of contrast while still being recognizable. I like ducks and nothing you can say will change it. So if we put these 4 parts one after the other, just by speaking, and I know it sounds stupid, bear with me for a second. I like ducks and I don't give a quack. I like ducks and I don't give a quack cause I know I like ducks and I don't give a quack. I like ducks and nothing you can say will change it. Just by speaking, you can hear the rhythm. Again, you don't need to do it with words. Many of you can probably just come up with the rhythm intuitively, but it can help, especially if you're new to composing. Now we need to take this rhythm, get rid of my voice, and instead have it played by our orchestral percussion. So in step 2 of this 5-step formula, we're going to assign instruments to our groove. If you're new to the fun world of orchestral music production, do yourself a favor and download the Orchestral Music Production Starter Kit that you'll find in the description below. It has home studio requirements for orchestral composers, basic music theory, an orchestral template checklist, instrument ranges, cheat sheet, and it'll subscribe you to the Become a Pro Composer newsletter where I send you exclusive gifts that I don't share anywhere else. So for step 2, assigning instruments to our duck groove, you can use any percussion sample library. Some great ones are Damage 2, Percussion Essentials Extreme, Hans Zimmer Percussion, Heaviosity Master Session Ensembles. If you have nothing, get some freebies, Project Sam's The Free Orchestra, Performance Samples, Pacific Percussion, Freebie Orchestral Tunes, Signed Factory, Spitfire Labs Percussion. Seriously, no matter what you have, give this method a try. We'll use the default Armageddon Ensemble patch from Damage 2. I like it because different drums are already loaded on one patch and playable from low to high. You got everything you need. So when assigning drums to your percussion groove, think about 3 ranges: low, mid, and high. Low drums can be orchestral bass drums, the Grand Casa, low taikos, anything rumbly and big. Low drums add weight and a solid foundation, but the trick is to use them sparingly. Use low drums to accentuate important parts of your groove. I like ducks and I don't give a quack. I like ducks and I don't give a quack cause I know I like ducks and I don't give a quack. I like ducks and nothing you can say will change this. Of course, there are other ways to play it. You could also do it like, I like ducks and I don't give a quack. For now, we have to pick one and it doesn't matter. Next, mid drums. Mid drums are not as low and rumbly as our Grand Casas, bass drums, low taikos, and they can be anything from toms, medium-sized taikos, djembes, dolls, any sort of normal-sized drum. Mid drums can add drive to a rhythmic groove. They play more notes than the lows because they don't get rumbly so fast. So we can use them to play a few more words of our groove, like I, ducks, don't give, and quack. I like ducks and I don't give a quack. I like ducks and I don't give a quack cause I know I like ducks and I don't give a quack. I like ducks and nothing you can say will change it. So just the mids. I played only one drum. Pretty nice. Now the missing notes, the like and I, we can play with a different drum and at low velocity as a sort of ghost note. I like ducks and I don't give a quack. I like ducks and I don't give a quack, 'cause I know I like ducks and I don't give a quack. I like ducks and nothing you can say will change it. Nice, now we can fill the space in between with a few other ghost notes, maybe played by the snare. You see here and here, mid drums are good to add these fills that we have in part 2 and 4 of our groove, like the 'cause I know and nothing you can say will change this, like these two variations that we added to make the groove more interesting, more energetic. Now we have the high percussion. High percussion can be anything from shakers, hi-hats, cowbell, metals, sound design, tick and tocks, whatever. They play the most notes. You can do sequences of 16th notes, 8 notes, 8 triplets, anything that's faster than the mid and low drums. Don't worry about rumbling or muddiness here that much. These high instruments, they will not blur into one another that easily. So for the high drums, we can, for example, play a 16th groove, bada 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 bada. I like using the step record here as well, because then I can nail the timing automatically and still add emphasis by playing the notes on my MIDI keyboard where I want them to. So whenever there's a word, I press hard. When there's a pause, I press less hard. I like ducks and I don't give a quack. I like ducks and I don't give a quack, 'cause I know I like ducks and I don't give a quack. I like ducks and nothing you can say will change this. Now for the fills, here, we can also sneak in a few 30-second notes. And maybe a triplet here. Now these triplets and these 30-second notes, they transport the energy into the next part of the groove. In step 3 of the 5-step formula for amazing percussion grooves, we're adding ultra low oomph and high end sparkle. Ultra low can be sound design sub booms or very deep organic drums, anything that's even lower than an orchestral bass drum. You'll probably not use these in classical orchestration, but especially in trailer productions and hybrid cinematic music, these ultra low elements are super important to add weight and power to a track. Even more so if your music will be played in a cinema, where the sub bass is crucial to be spot on. No need to say use the ultra lows sparingly. I'll use a boom at the beginning of each cycle. Now high-end sparkle can be small metals or sound design bits that you can use similarly to the high drums. You can play quick grooves with them or use them as ghost notes in between, like interesting little ear candy for detail. For high-end sparkle, I also consider cymbals. You can use cymbal swells to powerfully transition into a new part and use crashes and the piatti to mark important accents. I use a cymbal swell to transition into the next cycle of the groove and cymbal crashes at the beginning of part 1 and 3. I'll also add this high-end sparkle sound design groove just for some more 16th note emphasis. And you can still hear this I like ducks and I don't give a quack, and I love this. I love hiding this stuff in my tracks, and only I know what was the words behind it. 2 more things to make our percussion groove sound even better. We'll use an equalizer, an EQ, to make our drums shine. Very simple EQ moves will make sure the percussion instrument won't blur too much into each other. It'll add clarity. I know EQ is a bit of a daunting topic for beginners, so we'll keep it nice and simple in this video. I promise you, you can do this. All we need to do is to remove low-end rumble from instruments that are not supposed to have low-end rumble. It's that easy. That means we'll keep our low drums as they are. They're allowed to be rumbly. For our mid drums, we want to reduce the low frequencies with an equalizer very broadly, not too surgically. This is a beginner video. Just so this space is sort of free for the low drums without changing the drum's tone too much. So maybe like this. Together with the lows, it will be fine. For our high drums, we will reduce the low and some of the mid frequencies. So maybe we'll go like this. We only want this sticky sound, not the rumble below. Sometimes you don't need to do these EQ steps. It depends on the libraries that you use, what types of drums you combine, and how much rumble and noise floor they carry inside the samples itself. Lastly, we want to make our groove loud, proud, and polished. We do this with compression. A compressor can connect our percussion section a little bit, make it sound like one unit. Again, compressors can be a tricky thing to master. We'll keep it very simple. We'll apply the compressor to the entire percussion section. Your DAW comes with a free compressor. Give it a try. This one is the stock compressor of Studio One. Two things to keep in mind. One, don't overdo it, else you get this pumping effect. If you hear this, increase the threshold and lower the ratio, else everything will sound squashed. Two, if you want a tighter, punchier sound that highlights the early note attacks of your drums a bit more, pick a slower attack, like 50 milliseconds, that keeps those drum hits before it compresses the rest of the signal. If you want a more laid-back, loose sound with less pronounced attacks, go for fast attacks that attenuate most of the drum signal, even those initial hits. Here's the final beat with the mastering chain on and a little bit of reverb. Keep in mind we use only one sample library and we started with nothing else but a stupid sentence. I like ducks and I don't give a quack. It's not stupid. I really like ducks. If I can do this, you can do this too. Give it a shot, go through steps 1 to 5 and apply this. Then you'll never write a single bad percussion groove in your life anymore.